First item is an executive session. Need to obtain legal advice that pertains to an ordinance establishing the structure by which the city attorney is appointed, the scope of the services to be provided, and the parameters in which city council members can seek guidance from the city attorney. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I make a motion that we enter into executive session.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are in executive session.
Thanks for your patience, everybody. That probably felt like waiting for the Eagles to get back together, huh?
Okay. Is everybody okay going ahead and proceeding?
What's that? Right. Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay. With that, we'll cover our special presentations. I have a recap of the Best Damn Food Festival.
Excuse me, point of order, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'd like to make a motion to remove an agenda item from the agenda tonight, which will be item 6A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
You got 5. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Okay. Can we cover the recap of the Best Damn Food Festival now?
Good evening, Council. How are you all doing? Great. Is it? I wanted to basically here to just give a recap of the Best Damn Food Festival. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to everyone who joined us at the inaugural festival. Despite looming threat of unsettled weather, we were grateful to successfully host the event. The week leading up to the festival posed a lot of challenges, and after consulting with local meteorologist, WSOC-TV, Keith Monday, Joey and I, Blethen, we had the first initial discussions with him, and during the entire week, we were able to find a window of an opportunity to host the event. Joey, Glenn Hasty, Dustin Overton and I, we faced some difficult decisions to have or not to have. When you have events such as that, you don't know, there's a lot of money involved. Not just food vendors, there's a lot of our money. Bands are paid, no matter what, bands are still paid, and bands do not reschedule. So there was a lot of money because this was our first one, and we wanted to really do a great job. You know, what was a great opportunity for me was I took this event to my peers in Charlotte during the North Carolina Festivals and Events Conference. And everyone was super excited about it because it's not a typical event. It was a play on words. It was in a field away from a downtown. So we had a lot of challenges going with this festival and stuff that I'm not, it's kind of new to me. But I was excited and we got really jazzed about it. So when the weather was looming over us and gave this opportunity that might not happen, we brought in an expert. And Keith Monday, he was just phenomenal. We learned a lot. He became a very good friend of ours that we can call on a moment's notice. And we really appreciate the opportunity. When that happened, we decided that it became a small window. But we knew we wanted to go ahead and have the event. So the first thing that we ended up doing was going ahead and, giving everybody an opportunity to bail out. Gold Hill Middle School, the band directors, Jennifer Eisenhower and Michael Sims, they were saying on the best, we're going to be on safety, we're going to go to our school. So we hated to do that, but we also understood at any moment, a storm could come in, and, you know, the best thing for the students was go ahead and just go back to their school. And I thought that was a good idea. We hated it. It broke our hearts, but we understood perfectly that they prioritized safety over the event. We canceled a lot of things, dining tents and music, amusement offerings, but we were able to push it out. I wanted to, Councilman Shirley, Councilwoman Miller, Councilman Carter, and Mayor, thank you for going with the flow. You constantly were going, what do you need? Just tell us what you need. So I appreciate that. And in a pinch, the mayor popped in and he took Serper around for me. So that was fun and greatly appreciated. TKK's son, they even built a special edition for us for the special edition just for the festival. Gave us an opportunity to push it out the old-fashioned way through newspaper, and I appreciated that. I want to express my sincere thanks to the Veterans Association and Cynthia Striegel for delivering a beautiful opening of the national anthem and opening ceremonies. Our volunteers, city volunteers, Tony McIntyre, Robert Braun, Christine Lakeach, always ready to serve, and I appreciate that so much. Shout out to Macaluso golf carts. They were there. They were like, it doesn't matter. We'll be there. We'll bring our golf carts to help you move. And we appreciate that. Super Chicks and TKK Tavern, they fed our vans, no questions asked, what time to show up. So many people, Sunbelt Rentals, what do you need? I said, I need some fans to dry out the stage. They brought them. It's just, Site One generously offered us straw hay bales for folks to sit on. It was just a great opportunity. I can't say enough how appreciative I am of our city staff. To see our department heads working side by side with staff was humbling. Dustin, our Parks and Rec director, was directing vendors and placing fencing along the event site. Glenn, fire chief, was inspecting and guiding vendors with his firefighters. Police department stepped in. It was just very humbling. We even had our finance manager, Dana Overly, hosting the green room. So Gretchen stayed with social media, posting out, making sure that folks were up to date on what was going on. A big shout out to our sponsors, Rock Hill Coca-Cola Company, Piedmont Medical Center, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Pucker Butt Pepper Company. Kept them abreast of everything that was going on so they wouldn't find out about it later. They were in the know constantly. And finally, a big shout out to the TKK residents, and businesses for backing the TKK events. It was humbling to see our residents adjusting with no argument. They understood that we needed to go. As a matter of fact, at the very end, when the Bruno Mars band went off the stage, the sun started shining. Of course it did. And I stood there, and people were just settling in for the evening, and it was hard for me to hold back my emotions because the event was just handled so beautifully by the entire team. I couldn't ask for a better event. So next up on the agenda is for the All-American Celebration, our nation's 248th birthday, and our city's 42nd anniversary. We got 3 fun days of excitement. Y'all have pamphlets or brochures out in front of you. TK's son is still promoting, and I appreciate that. We'll have a special edition with that as well, and we have flyers out in the lobby. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Okay. I'd like to hear from our TCTA.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the time. George McKemmy, 26047 Neptune's Landing. I've lived here in TK about 20 years. And I will give you, again, we're just kind of following up, I think on May 7th, Pickleball gave a nice presentation on, I think, the disposition of the lower courts. And I don't think there was a lot of representation there for tennis, so we just wanted to provide some additional figures and perspective on what we see from a club perspective. And then I have Keith Womble here with me, who actually handles all the instructional programs, summer camps, et cetera, for the youth here of TKK. So we just wanted to kind of run through some materials with you, answer any questions you all might have when we kind of look at what does the future state of tennis potentially look like and the disposition of the 4 courts that we have right outside this facility. So if I go to the first slide, and it's hard to see for you folks here in the room, you all have copies. But really, we're talking about the four courts right outside the gate here or outside this building. These are basically owned and maintained by the city. Pinnacle operates and maintains them on a daily basis. And then the annual funds that are allocated or received and spent in doing that are reflected in the annual financials under the golf club fund in the appendix. So that's where we pulled our financial information here. TCTA, which is the TCTA Tennis Association, I've been a board member. I'm in my third year there. We're an advisory board. So really, Pinnacle's on the hook for running the business, and we just kind of represent the tennis players to say, hey, here's some things that you need to consider, et cetera. We do not run the club. We do not collect funds. We don't do any of the operational stuff related with the courts that we have up here. So it's not set up like Palisades or some of the other traditional tennis clubs that you might look at. We do have memberships. Memberships are affordable, a couple hundred for individuals, like 400 for a family. That gives you access for online reservations, able to attend member events, and then we also then have all the instruction programs that Keith runs. Courts are reserved by members, and then we have the courts that are set aside during the week for Keith to run his camps. I think the key thing that we want to just share is the overall revenue. And if you look at the chart on the bottom there, you can see the blue line that has gone up quite a bit. Basically, since FY 18-19, we've brought in revenue through both our members' dues, contributions from Keith from the instruction, and then guest dues of almost $100,000. So regardless of the expense for maintaining those courts, which the city I think would have regardless, you've seen almost $100,000 come in to help offset that. You still have capital expenses and daily operating expenses that are going to go along with any kind of facility we have here in the city, so we know you can't discount that. But we just wanted to kind of, again, present some of those, and then we have a few options on, I think at the May 7th meeting, there was some discussion on how do you use the four courts up here, public access, members, non-members, things of that. We just wanted to run through those quickly. But Keith's going to run through some of the numbers as far as members and clinics and stuff that he runs.
Sure. It's Keith Womble, 870 Brooks Mill Drive, TUK. I've also been a resident of TUK for the last 20 years, 21 years actually. One of the first houses in Lakeshore. Just in regards to instruction out at the courts, we currently, last year we had 173 campers or children in the after-school program that runs from August through May. We have upwards of 50 or 60 adults that play on a regular basis out there. Summer camp last year, we had 9 weeks of summer camp, about 130 kids this year. Last week was our most successful week ever at summer camp. We had 24 kids out there. I'd like to note that all those kids are either from Fort Miller or TUK, so they're all local kids. And I'm not getting anybody from Charlotte or anybody else. So all the courts are being used out there on a regular basis with summer camp, or at least 3 of the 4 courts are being used. The summer camp is trending upwards for this year as well. And that's a little different than what we've seen talking to some other tennis pros throughout the community or throughout Charlotte. The numbers are down. TUK is thriving on the tennis community with the junior tennis program. The adult program is also has many more players than it did in the past. So I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that the numbers for TUK Junior and the adult program are increasing.
So yeah, and again, if you have any, obviously, if you have any
Yeah, if you
questions
have
as we go through it, feel free to jump in. But membership right now, again, we hit a peak in 2022 where we had 100 memberships and about 200 players, because family memberships are 2 or more, so we just kind of factored those all up. We had about 93 last year. And I think we're about 65 now since we've created this, so again,
71.
71.
71
Okay.
members as of 3 hours ago.
So as people move into the community, we get, additional members. But, and again, that's revenue. However you want to count the expense that Pinnacle books against that, you do have that on coming in. So we kind of factor that in when we looked at the different options that we wanted to just run through. And again, these were just 3 that we looked at just for consideration. And basically, there's some assumptions behind that. It's basically concerned with the 4 courts that we have outside here, daily operations, including trash, water, et cetera. That kind of is a status quo. It's going to maintain regardless. And you're still going to have capital projects at some point in time, whether it's members only, community. You can't have courts that are falling apart just from safety issues, et cetera. And then and again, this is a tough concept. Public access doesn't necessarily mean free when we look at things that we offer within the community. If you look at croquet has a member, non-member model where if you're not a member, you pay your $15, you get two hours to go play croquet. So public has access, it's just not free. So we just wanted to kind of make sure that when we looked at what we presented here, that's one of our assumptions that we had out there. Rock Hill is set up in that kind of manner. They have a membership similar to ours, a couple $100 a year. You use the courts, you can reserve a week out, and you can use it pretty much free. If you're a non-member, you call, and if they have availability, they book you the court. You come in, you pay your $5 per person, and you go use the court. So that way they're accommodating both members and non-members. That's the model that we have listed here as number 1, and I think that's the one we as TCTA would recommend, because you minimize the loss of your revenue, because the majority of your members are still going to want to book in advance, and it is a reasonable rate. And then Keith will still be running his programs, and you'll get revenue from that. But then non-members are able to call in if there's courts available. They're able to book it. You're going to get some revenue from that as well that you can book. And then you continue your existing club activities such as matches with USTA, CompU tennis, things of that nature. So we think there's a lot of pros there. You're still going to have the expenses and potential capital project funds that you might have to look at. Option 2, which was discussed back in May, was can you make 1 or 2 of those courts public? And just being candid, if I'm a paying member and some of those courts are free, I'm going to say, why would I not just be able to do that as well? So I kind of look at option 2 as it's a non-starter. I think really as a council or as a city, we need to determine, are we going to have a member, non-member type volume, or are we going to make them all public? And again, if you make them all public, which is actually option 3, again, you potentially forego some revenue. I mean, you're going to pay, and it'll be similar to some of the other facilities we have in the city right now that are just come, if they're available, you play, and you're not getting paid any offsetting revenue to come in for that. So that's kind of what we wanted to share with the team. You've got the materials there, but any questions that jump out at you when we look at that?
I'll jump in real quick. I got one. The one area that I guess I'm concerned or where I feel the strongest about it with the tennis is because if we were to take away the lower courts, we get rid of any free tennis, right? Mm-hmm. If we go with Model 1. And we're croquet, excuse me. Croquet and golf, they basically fund themselves completely. So there's no city money going into those. And where pickleball and tennis are the opposite. The city basically funds the major upkeep of both of those. And so I personally, as a taxpayer, I see that as, these are city assets that the entire city taxes are paying for, that I think there should be some type of free option, whether it's one court, 4 hours a day. I'm not talking parameters here, but so I completely understand your option 1 where you pay, your $5 if you want to play or something like that. But That's the only problem I have is it's hard for me to tell a resident who's already paying taxes to maintain those courts that now they gotta pay to play no matter what. I like the TCTA model because if it's 2, 3, or 4 courts part-time, however it worked out, you get advanced reservation, you can still have your leagues, you can still, get all the benefits of that. I'm just hoping, and I don't know the answer right now, but I'm hoping there's potentially, me personally, that there'd be a way to preserve some type of free play for residents who just don't play a lot of tennis, or even if they do, it could be they can't make the reservation until the day before, whatever the case may be. But I love everything you did here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming and presenting all this. I know the TCTA has been a good partner of the city, and you guys have a great program, and so I want you to continue that. I just personally hope there's a way to potentially have some type of free option because we're taking away those free courts. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair concern. Again, I just think part of it, from our viewpoint, you look as the city has grown, right, and resources are a little bit more taxed, pardon the pun, that, again, stuff that was free in some aspects. And I would tell you the lower courts, we're not down there a lot, but I know we've got a lot of our friends here from the pickleball club. I don't know if they get used a ton for tennis. There are some groups here and there that you will see down there on occasion. If we have something going on up top, I'll go down there still on occasion to play. So yeah, again, I think it's kind of that balance, because if you do make one of the courts up there free for whatever duration, I just think that is going to introduce, right, you won't grow membership. I just don't think people will look and say, okay, why would I pay $200, $300 a year when I can
You're going to lose
go
70
play?
members if they realize,
That-
quite honestly,
I
you're
get
going
what
to
you,
lose members
yeah.
with that. Yeah.
But that's the thing, I think, again, just to consider. But again, it's a fair regard. And I think if you took capital expense out of it, I think we almost self-fund. I mean, I think capital expense for tennis courts not cheap. And I didn't bring it up, but there are USTA grants that, if we decide and you say, okay, next year it fits in the budget that we're going to set $20,000 aside to resurface courts 1 and 2, which are going to have to be done in a couple of years, regardless of the model. USTA has grants that if you apply and you work with them, they'll come out, they'll do the assessment, and they'll say, okay, we're going to match you 50%. And that's a grant, that's not a loan. So that's free money that if we get on a structured plan to say, here's when we think we need to do these kind of capital things, at least you're minimizing it for the city's perspective, because you can cut some of that expense in half, and then you're still offsetting your normal operational funds by having membership that's paying $200-$300 for a year. So that, again, we're just saying that we're trying to minimize the expense that the city has to pick up, because like you said, it is city.
And it's a balancing act.
Right.
You make 2 courts free all the time. Why would you pay
Right.
any other 2? I get it. I hope there's a way. I'm not saying there is a way, but there may be.
Right. And again, we stand right, we've provided some feedback to Pinnacle on saying, here's some models, things that we think would be viable. Again, not really interested in pursuing it right now. So, when we get some direction from the council on what Pinnacle needs, we're, standing by to provide them some feedback and recommendations. All right. Again, thank you very much for your time. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Now we got some good stuff coming. This is really good stuff, though. I really like this stuff. All right. Okay. There has been a event that TEK has been involved in since 1996, and it is Friends Helping Special Friends. It's a group of folks that are members of the city, members of staff, members of our fire department, our police department, members of council, that get together on one day and we help folks that are special needs folks at Windjammer. I've been a part of it for a few years, and I'd like to recognize some folks back here in the back. Bill, if you guys would come on up here. So this good-looking gentleman here has been a part of this program since the inception. So, Bill, we wanted to make a proclamation recognizing the first Saturday of June as Friends Helping Friends Special Friends Day. Whereas 18.5% of American children under the age of 18 are special needs children. Whereas Friends Helping Special Friends was established in 1996 by Jack Brenner in recognition of his daughter who is living with special needs. Whereas William Spake and others have joined the organization to assist in providing various activities to those with special needs, including a lake day occurring the first Saturday of June. And whereas the City Council and the City of TCUD desires to encourage inclusion throughout the community and participation in Friends Helping Special Friends. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Council of the City of TCUD, duly assembled, do hereby recognize the first Saturday of June as Friends Helping Special Friends Day here in the City of TCUD. And I'd like to present this to you. And special thanks for all you've done since 1996.
Absolutely. Bill Kreisman, I live on 1136 Molokai. I just want to let everybody know that Friends Helping Friends was started by Jack Brenner. The reins were taken on by Will Spake, who I'm standing in for tonight because he's out of town. And there's lots of entities that go into helping out 200 or so adults from York County. Some live in TCUD here, and they get a day out at Windjammer Park. They get boat rides, so there's people that volunteer to give them boat rides. And we lost one boat 5 years ago, so somebody got lost on a lake, easy to happen. Lately, the last 3 years since we've been doing it at Windjammer Park, it started at Pitcairn. The ski team puts on a nice presentation, and there's typically a DJ every year. So they get to dance, they get to eat because we at the volunteer group buy the food and cook it for them. We get help from the on-duty folks at the fire department. We also they also bring their trucks so that they get to see some fire education while they're there. So there's lots of activities for these folks to do every single year, and they look forward to it. So it's a good thing. It's our pleasure to provide the food and cook the food. Dave Nelson back here is our chef, head chef, by the way. And it works out one way or another. So thanks for supporting us.
Let's get a picture real quick.
No. Oh, did I forget anybody? I'm trying to think. I think I got them all, right? Did I get everybody? Okay.
Think so?
Hate to,
Gotcha. But I'd like to thank everyone especially for coming out and helping us. I'd like to mention Councilman Shirley, thank you for coming out and donating your time on a boat. Councilman Richard also, former Councilman Richard also helped us out. Chief Hasty, Chief Crosby, thank you so much for having guys down there to help us out. It's just a total TK effort, and it's what makes us great. So, yeah, and Sheriff Tolson was there too, so it just makes us great. And it makes it worthwhile for what we're doing. So just thanks everybody for coming out. Appreciate you. I know. But hey, it's really cool when you see those kids smile. It really is. I can tell you that. I like it. Okay. Now we'll cover public comments. And as always, please state your name first and last and your address, please. And we will begin with Mr. Leroy Denton.
Leroy Denton, 28001 Marina Drive. Mr. Mayor, Council, I came here tonight to discuss our chiefs, our fire chief and our police chief, from a citizen and business owner standpoint. Most people who are citizens here don't get to interact with either one of these gentlemen very much, unless maybe it's bad. And most business owners are in the same situation. I'm in a little different situation because, as I like to say, I'm a custodian of emergency equipment of both of them. So therefore, I get to interact with both of them in addition to their staffs on an ongoing basis. And I can tell you that as a citizen and business owner, I have been absolutely amazed. The professionalism, the caring, the attention to detail, the way they treat their employees and train them, the way they treat people, you just couldn't dream of having one chief who does that, much less having two. And so I think it's absolutely phenomenal, the job they do for us. And then Memorial Weekend, I walk out of my garage door, and across the way is the Marina store and this growing line of people. Now, I happen to know that that doesn't look right, and something is going on. So I call my marina manager, who runs all the marinas, and I ask what's happening, and she tells me what they know so far, that the crowd continues to grow. So what I will share with you is that I am not a stranger to crowds. I owned 6 nightclubs for 65 years. I helped produce 7 live events that you watch on TV every year. I know crowds. And I know that this one is starting not to look so good. So I am getting ready to make a call to Chief Crosby when my phone rings, and it's Chief Crosby. So we have a little chat, and he says he's on his way. Sorry. Now, another side note is in my years of doing major things, especially if it's something that was of a national or international nature, if we came to situations that if they went bad, it was a problem, which meant the press was going to be all over you. We referred to those as CNN moments. And when you said that, everybody knew what you were talking about. So the antennas went up and mitigating things started happening. Well, as I watched this line, I started having, this could become a CNN moment. That is not good. That is not good for the lake. That is not good for TCTA. That's not good for anybody. So when the chief told me he was coming, I walked over to the marina, and the chief showed up a little while, and we had a line. We had hundreds of people. And in my years of experience, I got to watch an absolutely phenomenal thing. I watched a man take total charge. He showed empathy when he needed to. He showed understanding when he needed to. He was helpful when he needed to. He was stern when he needed to. And he was in charge. And everybody knew it. And so I watched someone, and I, being close to an expert myself, take what could become a CNN moment and turn it into a non-event. Now, that's not to say the event was a non-event, because it took 8 hours to clean it up. But from a global perspective, the people of TCTA went to sleep that night. TCTA woke up the next morning. They had no clue what had happened. They were at peace with the world. And that being able to move a CNN moment to a non-event was simply Chief Crosby. It was beautiful to watch. I wish we had had cameras, because you'd have gotten a PhD in how to handle a crowd. It was perfect. I'm not saying that there are other people who couldn't have done that. There are probably a few. But I will tell you straight up, there is not a person on this planet who could have done that better. It just couldn't be done. So I thought maybe you would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denton. Bill O'Boyle.
Good evening, everyone. Bill O'Boyle, 12087 Spinnaker Drive, TK resident for 22 years. I'm here on my own accord as a citizen and as a tennis member. I'm not representing the TCTA in any fashion or form. Well, I might need my glasses. I just wanted to say to the city and to the council, tennis is not dying. In the last 2 years, we have grown by 5 million players nationally. Greater numbers than pickleball, way greater than numbers than pickleball in the last 2 years. I believe 4 courts for 15,000 populated city is a number that is really, really low. I don't think it's sufficient. You have a full-time junior program out there, and as Keith mentioned, is growing. So they're going to take, let's say on an evening, on a regular evening, out of summer, spring and fall, winter, on a regular evening, he takes, let's say he just takes 2 courts from 4:30 till 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. Well, now you have, what do we say, 70-something members, that they're down to 2 tennis courts. That's all they got to play. And the numbers are down a little bit. I think that's one of the reasons they're down, is because people can't reserve a tennis court. They pay the money, 2 people get in on each court, and then it's over. There's no room for anybody else. And so it's a private club, and now to open those 4 tennis courts to the public as well, well, the numbers don't work. 4 Fort Mill City has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars recently and just opened 6 state-of-the-art tennis courts with LED lighting, just beautiful, beautiful courts. So they're getting behind it. Rock Hill Tennis Club has over 1,000 members down there on 11 courts. Tennis is not dying. To join OP up in Charlotte, which is a tennis club, and it is the main club up in Charlotte. To join OP, it's going to take you 2 years to get in, and it's going to take you $9,000 in initiation fees. Tennis is not dying. And TCTA as a city, I just believe that that those 2 tennis courts down below, to give those things up and to take $100,000 of our taxpayer money to go into something that their numbers are coming down, right? Their numbers are down, and you just opened up how many pickleball courts over at the new Fort Mill Tennis, at the new YMCA? I don't know how many they have over there. 12 courts. So there's more there's more options for people to play. And who's playing down there? Are they all TKK residents? Do we know who's down there? What's the percentage of TKK residents down there? And how much money is it bringing into the city? And you know, if I had my didders on it, I would say, take the 2 tennis courts down there, move them over to the TKK Tennis Association, let them run them with the other 4 courts up top, and they'll fill them because we have the programs to do it. We just don't have the supply. And so that's just my. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And that concludes our public comments. Okay. Bring us to our approval of minutes. Need a motion to approve the special city council workshop meeting, May 7th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, a motion to approve the special city council workshop meeting on May 7th of 2024.
Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Deletions, additions, subtractions? No, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Also need to approve the minutes for our regular city council meeting, May 20th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from May 20th, 2024.
Second with comments.
Have a motion and a second. We have some discussion.
Yes, sir. Charlie, the May 20th minutes during the council meeting, I had sent some additional notes that I asked to be entered into the minutes, and I looked back through the website, and I hadn't seen that those minutes, or that addendum had been added to the website. Is that going in the May as an addendum, or is that going in as June after this approval?
That was for the April meeting, and that amendment was changed, and those were sent to the mayor, and he signed them. So they were already approved for the April 15th meeting. Those were the comments that you had emailed about, was from the April meeting.
Okay.
And those are included in the April minutes.
I don't think so. I stand corrected I could stand corrected, but I went back through the April and the May minutes in both documents online, and I didn't see them.
We'll double check and make sure that they are.
Thank you.
Not a
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Any further discussion? Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Brings us to committee reports. If you would, please tell us about the Planning Commission, Councilman Heisley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning Commission met on June 3rd, had a quorum. They continued to discuss the Marina Overlay District, and they went through in great detail numerous sections, and are diligently going to finish that and get us their recommendation. They also went over a list of questions for a survey that I was going to brief you about tonight, that they were looking at doing, but it went out on Friday, so a little quicker than we thought, before I got a chance to fill you in on everything. But that was it. There was a couple public comments, and they're just going to come back and they were hoping to get the survey back at some point and incorporate what they learned from that into their recommendation. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Heisler. Would bring us to some new business.
Y'all remove that. So you're.
7A?
Yeah. So now you're down to 7A, which is.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
The-
new business. I'm sorry. I thought you said unfinished business. Apologies. You're on top of it, Mayor.
I'm trying.
got
I'm trying.
Keep it straight.
Jumping us around, it's kind of tough. Okay, so some new business, consideration of awarding a bid for TCUD Preconstruction Services for Wastewater Treatment Plant Number 2. In accordance with the city's procurement code, bids were solicited for TCUD Preconstruction Services for Wastewater Treatment Plant Number 2. This item is before council to consider awarding that bid. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to award the bid for TCTA Utilities Department pre-construction services for the wastewater treatment plant number 2 to Harper General Contractors in the amount not to exceed $35,000, and issue the city manager a notice to proceed contingent upon review and approval of the IRA. Sorry, my fine. RIA.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
2 questions.
If I can, before you ask your questions,
okay.
let me
I wanna
give
make
y'all
sure.
some clarification, and then either myself or Antonio Maturo will absolutely try to answer all your questions. Council, just to help with the understanding of this, so our utilities department put in for a grant, $1 million grant from RIA, which is the Rural Infrastructure Authority, and were awarded that grant. We had previously gone out to bid on this CMAR, had multiple folks put in, and that was because of the ARPA funds that we were awarded through the state that ultimately came from the feds. Because we've been able to add $1 million grant, RIA required that we put that service that we had already bid out for bid again. This time Harper was the only one that applied. They were one of a few that had submitted a bid the last go-round. We have worked with Harper before once we acquired the old TCUD system. As we moved into the repairs of that, Harper was one of the contractors doing that repair, did a phenomenal job for us, so we do have some experience with them, did a great job. This process was brought on because of the additional funds coming from RIA. As I said, the $1 million grant. None of these upgrades to the treatment plants impacts the TCUD budget at all. It is all grant or federal funds through ARPA. So we're even able to, as far as the matching funds required on the $1 million grant, we're able to use those ARPA funds that we got from the feds for that match. So none of this capital work at the treatment plants will impact the TCUD budget at all. So not sure if that answered questions that you had, but we'll be happy to try to answer any questions, any additional questions that council may have.
You did. You answered all the questions. But I do have another one. What exactly are they going to be doing at the wastewater treatment plants, and why is that needed?
Let's get our brand new utilities director officially as of today. Let's get him up here and he'll answer those questions for you.
Good evening. Pleasure to be here. So basically, those, I mean, as you well know, those plants are pretty old. They're the original plants that were there. So the plant that we're focusing on right now is plant number 2. That's the one off of Greenview Circle. They're doing electrical, blowers, clarifier, catwalks, you name it, they're doing it, just to bring them back to the structural integrity that it needs to be in. Right now, those walls are really beginning to degrade to a point that if it ever needed to be emptied out, we run a risk of having some real issues. So, like Charlie has mentioned, this is probably the greatest opportunity that we'll ever have, if it not coming out of our operational budget. So, okay. Any other questions?
I just have a question on, Charlie, you had said that when the original bid went out, you had multiple companies that came in, and then you resent it out when that grant came through, and that only this particular company came in the second time. And I understand that you worked with them before, and they've done a phenomenal job, so they're tried and true. But was there any effort to go back to the original people that put in bids, or to try to get competing bids?
There sure was, yeah. So letters were sent out to all those companies as well. They just decided not to bid on the process.
Yeah, and we advertised it in accordance with our procurement ordinance and had to follow all of the rural infrastructure guidelines through that process. So everybody had a fair shake to go at it. My assumption, and again, it is purely an assumption, is because they didn't get it the last go-round, they decided not to put in for it. But they absolutely could have and had the opportunity to win that bid. So we've had to hold off for a little while with Harper because of this grant process, knowing that we were going to have to bid that part out again. But yes, everyone was notified, had an opportunity to bid on it. It was just the one that had won the bid the last go-round, which was a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe.
About 2 years.
They were the only ones that chose to submit again.
Is there something that changes with that grant process that creates a change in fulfillment to the contractor that makes it less attractive for them to bid that second time around?
I don't know why they decided not to come in. I don't know. Again, RIA had their own rules that we needed to follow, so we put it out to bid again.
I'm delighted where we are on the money.
I don't
mean,
know
that's-
the answer to why they
Yeah.
decided not to bid, and I don't think anything changed
Got it.
on that part.
I would say probably the biggest thing that changes with the RIA grant is just more reporting from us that we've got to do.
Yeah.
We've got quarterly reporting that Bob Barkin has to submit on the ARPA funds. RIA comes with a whole extra step of reporting, but that's on us, not on the contractor. So are there extra steps? Yes, but none that impact the contractor.
Sounds like you guys did a good job making the best of the money that was available for us. Appreciate you doing that. It's good use of it.
One quick question. I just want to clarify. So in the bid, it's just for 35,000?
Correct.
But-
For the
but-
construction manager at risk, correct. Yep.
Okay, so that's not the full amount,
It is
because
not
that
the
was a
full
$1 million grant and then the
Correct.
ARPA.
Yes.
Okay.
And that 35,000 is part of the $1 million.
And that was the supplemental thing I
Correct.
had to put in. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Where is the location of this?
It's plant number 2, which is off of Greenview Circle.
Got it. Thank you.
Do we have anything additionally, folks? Okay,
You got a motion in a second?
I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, brings us to another piece of new business, an introduction and first reading of an ordinance to allow council members to participate in the state health insurance plan through the Public Employees Benefits Authority, or PEBA. The Public Employee Benefit Authority administers the state retirement system and state health plan for employees of participating members. Until recently, this automatically included city council members who chose to opt out or into either of these benefits. The PEBA Board of Directors has now notified participating members that they have now decided that city council must elect whether or not they are going to continue to be considered as employees for the health insurance benefit or not moving forward. By voting to approve, current and future council members would continue to be eligible to opt into the health benefit coverage. By voting to not approve, current council members who are on the health plan would lose the coverage and future council members would not be allowed to participate in the plan. So do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to allow council members to participate in the state health insurance plan through the Public Employee Benefits Authority.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
If I may, Mayor and
Yes, you
council, just to explain where we are. So when this first came to my attention, I had a conversation with our city attorney because I had a concern. At this point, we have 3 members of council that are eligible and are participating in the coverage. And my question was, they would have to recuse themselves, right? So how do we take a vote? And I've got less than a quorum of council. Immediately, Mr. McCleve reached out to the municipal associations, in-house counsel or general counsel, and to the general counsel of the Ethics Commission. The municipal association was not aware of this action by PIBA. And after some conversations with the Ethics Commission, and subsequently some conversations with the general counsel of PIBA, PIBA has, I'll say, softened their approach, if you will, to make things right with the Ethics Commission. Basically, what this ordinance does is puts the health coverage on the same terms as what council compensation would be, and the fact that it won't take effect until after the next general election, when 2 or more council members are elected, which is the same as what compensation of council members goes under the state code. So from there, once everybody was agreeing on that type of language and using the ordinance path, the other issue that we kept forcing on to PIBA was, you gave us a hard date of July 1. Do we got to have both reads done, or can we at least have one read done? Found out during my conference last week, PIBA is good with as long as you get first reading done before the July 1 deadline. And we have a form that will, assuming council votes favorably upon this, that we'll get council to sign this evening. Casey's going to transcribe this portion of the minutes. We'll send that along with what the draft ordinance looks like, along with their form, back to them. And PIBA has said that they will be satisfied on that. So we don't need to now try to schedule a special meeting before July 1. We can wait and cover a second reading of this, assuming it goes through tonight at your regular July 8th meeting. So that's where things are. For the general public, as the mayor stated, council members were automatically, once a member, i.e. the city, joined the state health plan, council members automatically could opt in, opt out. Council members also do pay a chunk of their premium on those. So it's not a free benefit, if you will. Council members are those that elect to participate, do pay a portion of those premiums. But for whatever reason, the PIBA Board of Directors decided back in March, didn't send out any notification until May that, hey, we now want council members to elect as to whether they're going to be considered as employees and eligible for these benefits or not. Not sure the reasoning behind it, but this ordinance does satisfy both the concerns we raised with the Ethics Commission as well as with PIBA, and this would be the correct path forward should council elect to allow both current and future councils to continue to participate in the benefits.
Do we have any further discussion? Okay, well, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next item of business is a consideration of the performance, labor, and material surety agreement and letter of credit for River Falls Map 2. Taylor Morrison has requested to move forward with their final plat for Map 2 of River Falls. In order to do this, they have requested to enter into performance, labor, and materials surety agreement with the city and have provided the letter of credit. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, motion to approve the performance, labor, and materials surety agreement and letter of credit for River Falls Map 2 contingent upon the approval from the city attorney.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
What is the, that we're waiting on as far as contingent from the approval of the city attorney?
His review and approval of the letter of credit that was submitted from U.S. Bank. That's just to make sure it's in the form and substance that we require on all of these. U.S. Bank, we don't have any concerns over. They are a reputable bank. Sometimes those banks like to try to use their own form in what they're writing, and it's just making sure that before the surety agreement is signed, that our city attorney has approved that letter of credit. And that's the only thing that he's looking at. The surety agreement is the same that Bob McCleve drafted years and years ago that we have used on all of these with prior developers and things like that. And the letter of credit, as you see in your packet, covers the final lift of surface course, your sidewalks, your ADA ramps, street trees, and revegetation. But it does allow the builder to go ahead and start selling those lots and begin construction in MAP 2.
Do we have any further discussion?
Can I have one more question?
Sure.
On page 1 of 3 of the U.S. Bank, it has blanks on that. It's a signed letter, but there's blanks on that first page.
You fill them in if you have to collect on it. You don't know those answers until you have to collect.
So those should be left blank?
Yes.
Do we have any further discussion? Questions? Anybody? We good? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. And to that, we will cover the city manager's report. If you would, please, Mr. Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just an update from through our departments. Development Services has one open position and one soon-to-be open position. We're working to try to get those positions filled. Windhaven Commercial Construction, as I notified council last week, is underway. And we're currently reviewing plans from Walmart to do an addition that is related to their online shopping side of the store. They're wanting to do some additions and things over there, so we're currently reviewing those plans. And as Councilmember Heislip mentioned, the Planning Commission is going through the Marina Overlay District and working through that. We have issued 63 building permits with 6 new home permits and 29 zoning permits since our last discussion. In utilities, we do now have 3 open positions. It was 2 before today, but congratulations, I'll go ahead and say it now, to Mr. Philip Jolly, who has retired, and we wish him all the best moving forward. And our folks in utilities they've completed the hydrant replacement on Riley Lane and are working on some other ones. So lots of good things there. This is definitely their busy time of year, chasing leaks. I think we do it 12 months out of the year, but this is definitely the busy time with the high water usage that we typically see during the summer. With IT, we've got a new security policy for staff, basically related to our credit card machines that we use at City Hall. Basically, everybody has to agree. Doesn't change how we operate, but we have to sign on that we're agreeing to this policy in order to be able to continue to accept credit card payments and the like. And the new servers that were budgeted for internally are being set up and in process. So Janet and her team are working very diligently to get that going. Public Works, we've got one open position. Next phase of replacement, street signs. Those are in for phase 7 of 9. So our staff, as they finish with their brush and brag collections every week, they're working through those sign replacements. And from what I've seen on social media, people tend to like it. They're appreciative of those signs getting replaced. Our staff, both Public Works and Park Maintenance, working together, mulching and pruning, TKK Drive, just getting everything nice and shiny for the 4th that's coming up. Comporium is running a new fiber service to the clubhouse. It'll go from their big tower, if you're familiar with the golf course, over near Cove number 1. They'll go into to the turnhouse first and then come over into the clubhouse at Glennon Center, replacing that coaxial service with a fiber service. So excited to see that get going. We've got stormwater projects out for bid. Those are scheduled to come in June 28th. And we're hoping to bring that before council at your July 8th meeting for consideration once we get those in. Parks and Rec, we're down 3 people there and working as hard as we can to try to get those filled. It's a bad time of the year for our maintenance staff to be down people, for sure, but working diligently to try to get those replaced. They completed getting the fountain stuff done and up and running, and it's going very well, and actually better than it probably ever has. So thank you to Scott Cook and Joe for their work on getting that done, along with pressure washing the memorial gardens and completing the renovations around the TK sign, giving it a little facelift, a new paint job. As I mentioned, 4th of July preparations are well underway. If you have not signed up yet and you're playing along with us tonight at home for the land parade and the boat parade, get signed up. Missing a lot of participants that have participated in the past. Don't delay. Deadline's going to be here before you know it. So all you got to do is go online. It is free to participate. Just get signed up. Let us know that you're coming, who you're representing, and Miss Caroline will get you in the parade lineup. Let's see, our show pro numbers down at Windjammer. 23 vehicles turned away this past Saturday and 15 on Sunday. All were non-residents without decals. So council, if you're keeping score, those numbers continue to go down. It seems like every time, so which is good. We almost towed 7 cars off of Silver Fox this past weekend, but the owners appeared out of the park, but they still had to pay the no-tow bill in order to be able to drive away with their cars instead of having to go get them. So our PD continues to be vigilant down there and making sure that folks are following the rules, and that's all we're asking. Just follow the rules. Everything will be great. The new maintenance building that's replacing the one that burned down is completed. Still waiting on Duke to hook up the electrical, and then we'll be able to begin utilizing that. That is in process. And the walking trail lights are being opened also on June 28th. That was a budgeted item, and we hope to be able to bring that to council for award also at your July 8th meeting, so we can get that project going and hopefully completed before we roll into the fall and it starts getting darker longer, to provide a little more safety and security out there on the walking trail. Fire, we had 2 open positions, had a new one start today. Yeah, started today, and still looking to fill a position. And we did get a grant from Smurf on PPE, which is basically it's a 50-50, up to $4,000. So good job to Chief on getting those funds for us. PD has 2 open positions. One is the grant SRO position, and one is a budgeted position. So they're actively interviewing and trying to get both of those filled, especially that SRO grant position before the school year starts. We can get them through the SRO training and everything. And Camp Cadet started this week with, I think I mentioned before, we got 30 kids. So condolences and thank you to our public safety staff that are corralling those 30 kids and keeping them active throughout the week. But got a lot of great things planned, and it's such a wonderful program that we couldn't do without the generosity of residents that have donated and businesses that have sponsored and things like that. Just a really, really neat program, and those kids have a blast out there. And the more money we raise, the more kids we can put in it. But 30 kids, I may get told that may be our limit. We'll see at the end of the week. But Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. That would bring us to council comments. And as always, Councilman Shirley.
Certainly. Changed it up, didn't he?
Just a little bit.
I was
Changed
ready
it up.
for him, though. Thank you for throwing the ball here. I appreciate it. Great news on Windjammer Park. I was looking back through my notes I thought I had written it down, but I thought the first weekend when we were there, we were at about 98 folks. The first day
Yeah,
was like
I was
98,
thinking,
we turned
if I'm
away.
recalling, I think it was 50 one day and like 35 or so the next,
Yeah,
give or
it was-
take, or maybe
It was
45. Yeah.
darn near 100 in the
Yes, sir.
weekend, and we're at 38, so that's great numbers. And and I can tell you that there's a great sense of public appreciation for what's going on down there, and I appreciate what PD's doing. They're keeping an eye on what's going on there and any illegal parking that's going on in the other neighborhoods that's impacting other members of the community. So much appreciation for that. A lot more peace and tranquility at the park, which that's what it's for. So glad to see that. Carolyn's not here, but Best Dam was awesome. All things considered, Mother Nature didn't cooperate, but Carolyn and the team sure did, and pulled off a really cool event that is an example for other communities around us. Really appreciate that. To echo what Charlie said, July 4th participation and registration. If you're watching at home, if you watch it later, please make sure that you get your best float idea and decoration idea and cool idea and get it registered, and love to see you participate and having fun in the parade like most folks. Fall registration, holy cow, I saw fall sports registration on the marquee the other day, and I thought, geez, can we get through June 1st? It's like putting my Christmas decorations out in October, you know? But I get it. It takes that kind of effort to make it happen, and you guys do a great job. I appreciate what you do, getting it out there early. So let's make sure that you folks that utilize those activities get your kids signed up as quick as you can. Bill, thanks for coming and sharing with us your opinions about tennis. I appreciate that. And Leroy, I'm going to plagiarize your CNN moment probably in the future. I hope I don't have to, but I liked hearing that. That's a good way to describe what could be that was certainly prevented by the professionalism of our first responders. I think it was probably last month I mentioned that quoted Charles Barkley saying that there are 4 vocations that people do not for the money, but because they care about people. And one is teachers, nurses, military personnel, and first responders. And our first responders just do an outstanding job. I've seen them on many, many occasions, the professionalism that they demonstrate, the compassion and the care for our community and the residents in our town, and certainly no shortness of that example of what happened during Memorial Day weekend. So, Leroy, thank you for taking the time to share that with everybody, and thank you for what you did to try and keep that under control down there. Did a great job. Thanks, Council, for your participation tonight. We missed our 8:30 deadline. Sorry.
Councilman Carter.
I don't even-
Still going to be.
All right. Well, thank you. Want to thank everybody that's here this evening and everybody that's watching online. Appreciate that. Bill and Leroy, thank you for your public comments. Your comments are heard. I want to thank the TKK Police Department and the TKK Fire Department for keeping our community safe. That's amazing. You guys do great. I want to echo Leroy's comments in regards to the chiefs that we have, because we do have 2 of the most top-notch, the fire chief and the police chief, out of multiple cities around here. They're pretty great. So I want to echo those comments. Thank you to everybody on city staff for keeping our city running smoothly every single day. You guys do a great job. I want to do a special shout out for Philip Jolly, who retired today. So I want to say thank you and happy retirement to Philip. the proclamations this evening that we did. Great. The first Saturday of June is Friends Helping Special Friends Day. Thank you, Mayor Gray. Thank you, Councilman Shirley, that you guys did that. Next year, I'm there, no matter what. This year I had a conflict, but I'm there. That's such a great event. Thank you, for Caroline, for presenting this evening. I want to make sure that everyone downloads the TGK, the city app, and then the police department app to stay up to date with what's going on in TGK. And as usual, I try and do a recognition of somebody who's doing something positive in the community. And this time, it's not going to be somebody like an individual. I want to recognize an organization. And this club is part of the world's largest service organizations. And some of the things that they focus on are health, and that's eyesight, hearing, diabetes. But they also focus on other things. And they have scholarship programs, disaster relief, they do research, and then community projects. And coincidentally, this is their 50th anniversary of being here in TGK, and that club is the TGK Lions Club in the foundation. So they just celebrated their 50-year anniversary this Saturday. It's pretty great. I'm a day late, but I want to say Happy Father's Day to the fathers sitting up here and all the fathers that are around and listening. My daughter came home for a couple of days, and my son's there too, so I had a chance to hang out with them and have a good time. So Alice and Miles, thank you. You guys make me one happy father. So last thing I want to talk about is the 4th of July. Can't wait to see everyone participating in all the activities and all that kind of stuff, just like we've talked about. Make sure that you guys sign up for that kind of stuff. And I was going to not talk about the bear, but kudos to the people that had those Photoshop moments with all the bears all around TGK. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Carter. Councilman Heisel.
Thank you, Mayor. Big shout out to Caroline Hasty and all the staff across the city. I missed it. I was out of town, but just the videos and the feedback I've heard, the Best Damn Food Festival was just awesome, and thank you for that. Appreciate the Tennis Association coming out and giving us their insight. And Bill, thank you very much as well. I know you've been a long-time tennis player, professional, coach, everything under the board. So we appreciate your input. Mayor, Friends Helping Special Friends, appreciate the proclamation and recognizing that wonderful group for everything they do. It's just a great organization that puts that together. Mr. Denton, I appreciate you coming up and recognizing our chiefs. We do have two of the best, and it means a lot. And in addition to our chiefs, you brought it up as well, our entire first responders just do a wonderful job. So thank you for taking the time to recognize them. Charlie, you mentioned just a minute ago stormwater bids. We had got a briefing a while back about some of the stormwater issues in the city, and we talked about potentially having a briefing at council at some point. A stormwater overview. Is that something we can really look at trying to get in the next couple months?
Absolutely. I think potentially even at your next meeting, as
Okay.
we get those bids in, we can provide some more detail as to what those projects are and what.
And then
that
other
work will
needs
be.
too, because I know budget's coming, and I know there's a lot of needs in stormwater from what
Yes, sir.
Carmen and I saw. So if there's a way we might be able to
Sure.
learn about
Yeah,
it.
we can work to either do that either at your July 8th meeting or even if it's just a communication out to all of
Yeah,
council.
that's fine, either way.
We can work through that. Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. Last Tuesday election, congratulations to all the winners. Thanks to the 5% who voted. I wish there was more. But it's not over. So there's a runoff for the sheriff's race. So everybody, please, if we can get more than 5%, it would be nice. But early voting starts Wednesday for that, and the main day is next Tuesday. So please get out and vote for your choice for sheriff. And final thing is 4th of July. I'm just going to say it. I'm coming back, baby. Brad and I are decorating the golf cart, so everyone else can just stay home. We're gonna win it like we did in the past. So. Challenge
Tom, that's what
accepted.
brought you here, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So we are we're bringing back the decorations. We're excited. So looking forward to that. I hope everyone else will be out there. But that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Pro Tem Miller, please.
I just want to say that I wasn't part of the parade with you last year, so you have no idea.
She had her own parade. She had it going on.
That's right, I did. So this past weekend, I had the opportunity to be at the Shore Club 2 nights in a row. Don't judge. But it was so much fun, and I just want to encourage everyone that if you have an opportunity to go during the weekends when they have the bands going, it's close by, it's easy to get to. There's really not a whole lot of parking issues, and you get to see a ton of people that you know, and it was a really, really good time. In that time that I was there, I was asked over and over and over again, how do I like council? How is it going? And I would like to just say that I am really, really glad that I'm here. I have learned a ton. I am learning more every single day. And I'm really, really glad to be able to be part of this and to get into discussions and questions and issues that are important to our city and are bringing changes or bringing differences. But I'm really, really glad to be here. So for all of you guys that asked, that's how I feel about it. I'd like to thank people that are here all the time: Casey, Dora, Dustin, Antonio, both of our chiefs. You guys spend at least once a month with us, sitting here and listening to all of this over and over again. And thank you, because even though you do an excellent job outside of these meetings and you're constantly doing what your job is, being here every time that we have a meeting and having to listen to us every single for every single meeting, I appreciate the fact that you're here all the time. And then for the residents in general, especially those of you guys that have come up and spoken, and those of you that have done entire presentations, I know the stage fright that I have every time that I have to speak. I'm getting better at it, but I know how challenging it is to do a whole entire presentation and speak for what you're passionate about and what you want to advocate for. So thank you for taking the time not to just come up here, but to actually present something that is important to you, because that is our job, is to listen to that and make decisions based on that. So I appreciate that very much. I did also have the opportunity to attend the Lions 50th Club, and we are incredibly fortunate to have a club that has spent that much time and energy and dedicated themselves to bettering our community. So I'm grateful to them. And that's all that I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I'd call for adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. It's not 11 o'clock.